I will now take the precedent for this meeting of the Planning Committee held on the 25th of November 2025. Councillors Alec Allison and Ralph Barker are present. I have apologies from Councillor Archie Buchanan. The following members are all present: Councillors Ross Clark, Jerry Convery, Margaret Cowie, Maureen Devlin, Colin Dewar, Mary Donnelly. We have apologies from Councillor Joe Fagan and Councillor Alistair Fulton, and Councillor Julia Mars is attending as a substitute. Councillors Shalene Handybode and Graham Horn are present. Councillor Carol Johnson Dempsey is not present. Councillor Ross Lambie is present. Councillor Martin Lennon is not present. Councillor Leslie MacDonald is present. Councillor David McLaughlin is not present. And the following members are all present: Councillors Richard Nelson, Norman Ray, John Ross, Graham Scott, David Shearer, Helen Toner and David Watson. Thank you, and I'll pass you back to the Chair for today's business.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Today's agenda items. Agenda item number 1 is any declarations of interest. Councillor Cowie, please.
I declare an interest in agenda item 5, the erection of a restaurant with takeaway at 235 Stonelaw Road, Rutherglen. I've had discussions with the MP's office, Burnside Community Council and the Planning Department with regards to this application.
Thank you, Councillor Cowie. I will ask you to leave the meeting just before agenda item number 5 and then bring you back in for the last agenda item. Any further declarations of interest, please? If there are no further declarations of interest, agenda item number 2 is the minutes of the previous meeting. These were held on the 28th of October 2025. These are submitted for approval as a correct record. I will move them as a correct record.
I'll second them.
All agreed? Anyone else otherwise minded? Nope, thank you. Agenda item number 3 then is application P250408 for change of use of farmsteading to Forum 2 dwellings, restoration of farmhouse to Forum 1 dwelling, erection of 3 houses and associated access improvements at Orchard Farm, Way, Gateshaw Road and Carluke, and these are on pages 9 to 22. And I'll ask Fraser, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair. This application relates to a site within the Greenbelt. It's on the north bank of the Clyde between Crossford and Braidwood. The application seeks to amend previous consent centred around a B-listed former farmsteading, and the proposals involve restoration and enabling new build development. The planning history is set out in section 4 of the report, while paragraph 7 summarises the 6 letters of objection that have been received. Section 10 of the report provided to members sets out the assessment of the application, which addresses objections, but also seeks to outline the development plan context for the proposals. The principle of the development is acceptable, as it seeks to reuse and rehabilitate a listed building, and in doing so it brings the proposal into line with local and national planning policies. A number of conditions have been attached to the consent, which seeks to ensure that the works on the listed building are secured before the enabling works can proceed, and this is an appropriate way to control the phasing of the development and compliance with the development plan. Therefore, subject to the conditions on pages 16 to 20 of the committee report, and the reason provided in paragraph 12, it is recommended that planning consent should be approved for application P250408.
Thank you, Fraser. I'll open up for any questions or comments, please. If there are no questions or comments, then the recommendation is grant subject to conditions. I will move to grant.
I'll second it, Chair.
All agreed? Thank you. Move on to agenda item number 4 then, please. Application P250479 for erection of storage and distribution warehouse with ancillary office and canteen, formation of hard-standing and vehicle access and land engineering operations, including retaining walls at Dumfries Road, Elvenfoot and Biggar, and these on pages 23 to 34. Fraser, please.
Thank you, Chair. This report assesses a planning application for a storage and distribution warehouse to operate as a logistics hub for the servicing and maintenance of wind farms across the Southern Uplands. The 2 hectare site lies between Elvenfoot and Crawford, adjoining an existing car and truck depot and bounded by the West Coast Main Line, the A702 and nearby motorway infrastructure. The proposals include a warehouse, ancillary office and welfare facilities, a large hard standing area, vehicle manoeuvring areas, sustainable urban drainage, landscaping and a 3-metre security fence. Engineering works and retaining structures are also required to create a level platform. 60 objections were received, citing concerns about the loss of greenfield land, industrialisation of a rural landscape, the scale and height of the buildings, impact on wildlife, archaeological disturbance, traffic safety, light pollution, earthworks and the principle of placing an industrial building in a non-industrial rural setting. Some objectors also questioned the claimed essential infrastructure status and argued that alternative brownfield locations should be used instead. Statutory consultees raised no objections. Roads and Environmental Services requested conditions regarding access, drainage, noise and lighting, which have been applied. West of Scotland Archaeology Service highlighted several features that will require investigation and recording, but accepted the proposed mitigation. The proposal was assessed against National Planning Policy Framework 4 and the South Lanarkshire Local Development Plan, as well as its policies on climate change, rural development, business and industry, biodiversity, historic environment and design issues were taken into consideration. It is considered that the development supports climate objectives by reducing long-distance travel currently required by the applicant's base in Ireland. A specific locational need was demonstrated due to the proximity to multiple operational and consented wind farms, and the M74 is essential to the business model, and alternative allocated employment sites were deemed unsuitable. Visual and landscape impacts are mitigated through earthworks, building orientation, colour treatment and new native planting. The site is out with any designated landscape and no significant ecological impacts are anticipated. Traffic levels are considered to be low and residential amenity is unaffected due to distance from dwellings. Overall, the development is judged compatible with national and local planning policy, environmentally acceptable and economically beneficial. Approval is therefore recommended for application P250479, subject to conditions.
Thank you, Fraser. I'll open up for any questions or comments, please. Councillor Barker.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that report. This is a major development on undeveloped land with many objections, and I don't see any comments supporting it. I had 2 major concerns. Now I come to it, I cannot see, because I'm attending remotely, the objections are just not available online at this moment. So I really don't see how I can continue with this application. As well as that, say there are no suitable sites, but there is a suitable site 200-300 yards away, and I think we should have a close look at that before we go any further with this application. It may not make any difference in the end, but as I cannot raise objections now, which I should be able to online, and that quite clearly there is another site, I really have to recommend delaying this decision until I can see it properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barker. I do believe there was issues with the computer system this morning. I'm going to bring Fraser in first of all, and then I'll come back to you just on that point. Fraser, please.
Yeah, in terms, no, there's actually an issue with the online sort of planning system we have today. So the reports have been available, or reports objections have been available to view. If there are issues in terms of members feel as if they've not had a chance to review the application, the issue could be continued to a later proposal. And that maybe it's unfortunate it just happened to happen on the day of the committee, but certainly the information was there. But if members were minded to continue the application, I think that's appropriate.
Okay. I would move then that since Councillor Clark first, and then I'll come back in.
Thank you, Chair. Just to Councillor Barker mentioned something about a nearby piece of land. I think he mentioned his contribution. Effectively, have all alternative sites been looked at for this?
Yeah, I would move then that Councillor Barker can't view the objections. I will move that we continue this to allow the members to look at that and bring back to the future meeting of the Planning Committee.
I'll second that, Chair.
Okay, is anyone else otherwise minded?
No.
Okay, agreed. Thank you. We'll continue this then to the next meeting. Councillor Barker, please.
I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Councillor Barker. That will give everyone the opportunity for the information to be presented and for us to make an informed decision. I think that's transparent and clear. Agenda item number 5. Councillor Margaret Cowie has declared an interest. We'll just make sure that she has left the meeting. Okay, Councillor Cowie has now left. Agenda item number 5 then is application P251031 for the erection of a restaurant with a takeaway, new vehicle access parking associated works at land at former petrol station at 235 Stonelaw Road in Rutherglen, and these on pages 35 to 46, please. Fraser.
Thanks, Chair. This application concerns the redevelopment of a vacant former petrol station in Burnside within a designated local centre. Planning permission is sought for a single-storey restaurant with ancillary takeaway, associated parking, access and servicing arrangements. The proposals include an internal seating area, kitchen and waiting, external bin stores, reconfigured site access and 8 parking spaces, including electrical vehicle charging and disabled provision. The site is bound by residential flats, a Tesco store and Stonelaw Road. 14 objections were submitted, citing traffic, parking, noise, odour, privacy and the lack of need for another food outlet. 24 letters of support highlighted economic benefits, improved appearance and the productive reuse of a long vacant site. Concerns were also raised about the unkept condition of the site, but it is noted that the owner has carried out works on the site in recent weeks to improve its appearance. Consultation responses raised no objections subject to conditions covering noise, ventilation, dust control, parking, drainage, site access and construction management. The proposal is assessed as compliant with National Planning Framework 4 and South Lanarkshire Local Development Plan 2, including those policies on local centres, brownfield regeneration, design, quality transport and residential amenity. Existing separation distances and a 3-metre wall protect neighbouring privacy, and roads officers have raised no concerns regarding access or safety. Therefore, the development is considered to be acceptable and is recommended for approval subject to conditions.
Thank you, Fraser. Any questions or comments, please? Councillor David Watson, please.
Thanks, Chair. Just would like some comment on, and I know this site vaguely, but and there's always seems to be issues around about that area with on-street parking, and this is a restaurant and a takeaway with 6 parking spaces. And that 6 spaces includes electrical vehicle charging points and 2 disabled spaces. So are we really talking that there's going to be 2 parking spaces there, 2 or 3 that would be available for general use, which I think probably a bit tight for a restaurant come takeaway. So maybe just welcome comment from either Rhodes or planning on that. Thanks.
I'll ask Rhodes just to come in, Fraser, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just counting the spaces again here, but there's actually 6 parking spaces available and 2 disabled spaces, which is more than other typical similar uses in the town centre has. It is a town centre area, but there are parking restrictions directly outside, which will restrict the parking there. So, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor David Shearer, please.
Thanks, Chair. Looking through the paperwork, I didn't notice if there was any conditions on litter control. Given that it's going to be a takeaway, there could be potential issues there. Has that been looked at, or is that going to be considered later as part of maybe its licensing for catering? Thanks.
The plans submitted have got sort of their waste management, the considerations and the facilities on that. It would be a matter if there was something from the use itself that we could take action against, whether it's through the environmental services, whether it's the sort of operation, the hot food licence that will exist around it as well. So it's a matter that could be controlled beyond the planning application. I think what we're looking at here is we've got an empty, vacant, redundant site within a designated town centre. A use on that site would be good, in terms of adding nothing to the amenity of the area just now. That probably picks up on the parking issues as well, in terms of having the site brought back into productive use. And we would look to manage in terms of its control through waste as well as traffic, as well as if the use is actually established on the site.
Thank you. Councillor McLaughlin, please.
Thanks, Chair. It's not a question about the application itself, it's in general about the area. I seem to recall there was an application, was it a pet shop or a vet or something in this area? Am I getting that wrong? Sorry? Was it in this same location? Was it?
Hang on, Councillor, we'll just get Councillor McLaughlin first and then we'll come to Fraser.
Aye, so I was just looking in general, Chair, because something I seem to recall that there was a controversial application that may have been refused in the past, and I was just wondering if it was the same location. Some's coming to mind about a pet shop or a vet's or something like that.
Not that I'm aware of. I'll ask Fraser just to see if he remembers anything, but I think what we've got to do is we've got to take the planning application on its own merits. So we take this application as it's presented. What happened previously before was another application. So I think what we need to do is take the information as it's presented to you here. If you've got a concern about it, I don't think it makes any difference to go back to any other previous application, if I'm honest. I think we take it on the merit that this is presented to us.
Well, I obviously do, Chair, and that's why I asked the question. I'm entitled to ask that question.
Yeah, you're entitled to ask it, but I'll tell you before I bring the planning in that it's to do with this application, not a previous application.
Yeah, from memory, we're not aware of, and I think there was a proposal for a vets, but I don't think it was this site.
That's all I was looking for, Chair. Thanks very much for your cooperation.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? If there are no further questions or comments, then the recommendation is to grant subject to conditions. I will grant.
I'll second it, Chair.
All agreed? Thank you. I will bring Councillor Cowie back in, please.
Years.
Thank you. Councillor Cowie's back with us. Agenda item number 6 then is application P251121 for subdivision and use of former nursery as 3 Class 1A premises and associated works at 51 Mackin Road in Larkhall, and these on pages 47 to 54. Fraser, please.
Thanks, Chair. This application concerns the former Big Bird Nursery, Mackin Road, Larkhall, which sits within the settlement boundary. The site contains a 324 square metre building beside public open space and neighbouring residential properties with good pedestrian links to surrounding streets. The proposal seeks to convert the building into 3 small retail/professional units along with improved access and parking arrangements, external alterations and new bin stores. 14 representations were received with 8 objections and 6 in support. Objections focused on noise, waste, privacy, loss of open space, parking and traffic and the suitability of the location, while supporters cited improved local convenience, opportunities for small business and employment. Local and national planning policies encourage the reuse of vacant buildings and sustainable neighbourhoods, and while the local development plan prioritises town centre retail development, the size and scale of this proposal is acceptable as it is considered to be of a neighbourhood scale. The design and reuse of the existing building would improve the area's character, and the road service confirm access and parking are acceptable, albeit that a condition is attached to ensure that the permitted use cannot begin until the control of the additional parking areas has been secured. As such, it is considered that the proposal accords with the development plan, and the application P251121 is recommended for approval subject to conditions.
Thank you. I'll open up for any questions or comments, please. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much to Fraser for the report. One of the concerns raised, of course, is about the loss of that open space, but I do understand how it explains in the report that that would be of limited amenity value. It's mainly visual at the moment. So with noting that, I would just encourage and welcome any of the kind of landscaping or planting associated with the car park and so on to kind of offset any of that loss of open space. So just to raise that concern and encourage that kind of mitigation almost.
Thank you. Fraser, do you want to come back in on that?
And that, we would look to do that, Councillor. There's conditions that would allow us to, to give that as a control. The area will, the sale of the land will be subject to report that will need to go through a separate committee of the council in terms of that disposal process. So this gives us a control on both sides around that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? I think the only comment I had or question I had was round about the parking, but I did speak to Rhodes about it, about the parking at the Baptist Church and whether that we were using that as an overspill, and that wasn't the case. That's not why the survey was carried out. It was just to make sure that the parking didn't spill onto the main road. So I was quite happy with that, and those recommendations then I am happy to grant subject to the conditions.
I'll second it, Chair.
All agreed? Thank you. Agenda item number 7. I don't have any items of urgent business today. Thank you very much for your participation this morning and have an enjoyable day. Thank you.